while OpenCourseware is a grouping of smaller organizations, each of them makes their own decisions about the licensing which they use. For example, Utah State University uses a much more open license requiring only attribution, where other institutions will require other things like non-commercial use and sharing another license the same way. So to answer the question simply, I think that the Creative Commons licensing scheme allows for more choices within the licensing of the content. Certainly, I don't believe that any organization is against using the copyleft license, but I think that one challenge that we face is, even with Creative Commons licenses, many people are still learning what the license is. So for just a reason of simplicity, I think many institutions choose to stay with Creative Commons because it's a more well-known licensing scheme.
Thank you. Gracias. Aquí hay una pregunta para el doctor Vicent. Could you give more details about how you can overcome the difficulties to change informal students to formal students? Que si puede dar más detalles de cómo en el Reino Unido ellos vencen las dificultades para que estudiantes informales se conviertan eventualmente en estudiantes formales. La experiencia del Reino Unido.
At the moment, it's a very straightforward process. You look at this material informally, and then you go to the point on the site which introduces you to our formal programs, and then you take a view as to whether you want to sign up and pay money to us for part of our conventional curriculum. That's how it works at the moment. As I was suggesting towards the end of my speech, it may be possible to have more of an overlap between the two communities, so that, for instance, if you had undertaken some informal learning, you could submit the outcome to us, and we could give some kind of assessment to you. We could provide self-assessment services to your informal learning. We could help you to structure your informal learning so that the metaphor of a learning journey would begin to have some reality for you. Now that's our aspiration. It still lies in the future. As I sit here, I think we still have got our informal learners in one place and our formal learners in another.
Bien, muchas gracias. Una pregunta para Tom. Si existe alguna herramienta para recuperar los recursos educativos abiertos desde diferentes repositorios heterogéneos.
Currently, there are several different ways to find open educational resources from the different repositories. One of them is a website called OCW Finder, so ocwfinder.org. This is a website which searches all of the OpenCourseware sites and then collects all of the course titles, and you can search in one place, you can search all of them. There is another one for open educational resources more generally. There is another one called the OER Recommender, and again, I believe it's oerrecommender.org. This one is the same idea, but a more broad system, and also this one is designed to provide recommendations for courses that are related. So for example, you could be in one course in astrophysics, for example, and then recommendations could appear on the page for related courses in the same area. Similar to what Amazon does for buying products. You often have recommendations on the same page. It's the same idea. But one more way to recuperate and I think reuse the OER content in different repositories also exists, and I think was mentioned earlier. Many of the OER repositories, and especially the OCW sites, have a download where you can download each course, and these courses are in a common format, many of them, where they can be then reused to create a new course that is adapted from the original course. So this is another way that the content can be taken and reused in a new repository.
Thank you. For Dr. Vicent, se refiere a la Universidad Abierta en países en desarrollo, en vías de desarrollo. ¿Cómo impedir de que la Universidad Abierta no se torne en una universidad elitista? How can you program that so that the Open University in developing countries doesn't become an elitist university?
Well, clearly the whole drive of open education resources is to try to resist the temptations, the pressures which face any university that they come to serve an elite or to reproduce an elite. What we are doing in the UK is making our intellectual content as widely available across society as possible, so that through the BBC programs, through Open Learn, those who have no resources, those who have no educational background, those who have no confidence in their ability to become students, can begin to engage with higher education and can prepare themselves to become university students. In the UK, and I'm sure this is true around the world, there are two basic barriers to participation in higher education. One is cost, and this material is free. The other is self-perception. The view forced into individuals by their upbringing and by the society that they are not appropriate people to gain benefit from higher education. And what we seek to do with our promotion of open education resources is to give access to that confidence, to enable casual viewers of our material to say to themselves, I can be a student. I could prosper as an historian or a chemist or a mathematician. And with that confidence, they will then make the sacrifice, or their families or their parents will, to become students. It would be foolish to argue that the issue of elitism disappears with the innovations that we are attempting. Powerful engine for attacking those processes of elitism.
Thank you. Do you think that in the near future, there will be easy to get a certification for people that take open courses? La facilidad para en el futuro de que existan las certificaciones para alumnos o personas que tomen los open courses?
Well, I think the question of easy is the word easy is not clear, but I think that it will be possible really, this is something that will depend on the individual institutions who implement such a certification program. I know, for example, that Stanford is working towards this kind of a program. I'm quite certain that it isn't easy to get a certification from Stanford, in the same way that I don't believe that it's easy to get a degree from the same institution. I think that in order to maintain the same rigor, the certification systems will have to be matched with the institution expectations themselves. So, but from a technology standpoint, or from an administrative standpoint, I think it's absolutely possible, and I think it's a question that needs to be asked, because part of why we come together to discuss these kinds of ideas is because we have one approach, but perhaps we need to listen and explore new ways to deliver education that suits the individual learners. And in some parts of the world, perhaps the 4-year model is not the most appropriate model. So it's certainly worth exploring alternate models for delivering the appropriate instruction in different parts of the world, where perhaps not just cost but also time is not as available. Perhaps it's not as easy to take 4 years and stop what you're doing, but this is what we need to explore.
Thank you. Solo nos queda tiempo para una última pregunta, pero estoy seguro que los panelistas, después de esta sesión, con muchísimo gusto, pues contestarán cualquier otra pregunta que ustedes tengan. Prácticamente le hemos cubierto casi todo. La última pregunta es para el doctor Vicent. ¿Quién es el autor de los materiales que la universidad, ¿verdad, pone en el Open Courseware? ¿Cuál es el proceso para hacerlo? ¿Y qué diferencia hay con Wikipedia en el proceso?
Essentially, the author of the Open University's podcasts and Open Learn material is the Open University. These are the materials which are developed in the course of our daily business for our students, and then they are reworked to be broadcast through the other sites. So we have, in that sense, an economy of labor. We don't do the work twice, and we have an assurance of quality, just as our programs are assured by the British Quality Assurance Agency, so also our free materials are. That's the first answer. The second answer is that we are, especially on our Open Learn site, encouraging downloads and reloads of the material. That reloading is taking place, not yet at the scale which we'd like to see. And one of our aspirations for engaging in this movement is that over time, the Open University's own resources will be enriched by the work of users of our material, so that it ceases to become a one-way communication flow from us to an audience.
Bien, muchas gracias. El tiempo se nos ha terminado. Agradecemos al doctor David Vicent y a Mr. Tom Caswell por su participación. También a ustedes y a las personas que virtualmente nos enviaron preguntas, que pudimos atender un par de ellas. Muchas gracias y que disfruten.
We'd like to apologize for logistical reasons. We're 10 minutes late in the sessions. We will catch up on that time. Starting with the session after lunch, we'll start up punctually. The beginning of the second session in the morning will be at 11:10. You have a break now. You can go over and hallways of the convention center for a cup of coffee. Thank you.